So we're at the very, very end of the run. We are running the fishing hamlet on the way to Orphan, and then ready to climb Mount Laurence. Jesus fucking Christ, right? So I blue elixir my way through the fishing hamlet. I'm not gonna get everything. You know, it's been the same way in pretty much every area of the game. I'm not gonna 100% the area. You can go down this well right here, and later on I'll show you what it leads to. Lots of items around here. Now this little strip right here reminds me of the gauntlet to get to Blue Smelter Demon. It's not as bad as that. This is actually like a fun kinda area, but it can also be really fucking difficult, especially with this fucking shark enemy. You can see the screen shake right here, I think. There it goes. Yeah, those enemies are fucking tough. There he is. They are not easy by any means. They can be parried, you know? I mean, I haven't mastered that. So there's a cold blood back here that I want to get. I forget about Simon laying on the floor, but we come back and do Simon. And you'll be invaded in the fishing hamlet, I think 3 times by Braider. And you can fight him each time and get each piece of fashion that he drops. I don't. You'll see what I do. I forget about Simon here, but I go back and get him. So yeah, I mean, I started doing this whole Bloodborne playthrough because, not just because I love the fucking game, right? And I wanted to talk about it and, you know, share my thoughts on it. But also because I've talked to lots of players who just honestly didn't know about some of these things in the game, and I thought it might be cool to sort of make a whole run where I talk about and show some of these things. Like, some people didn't know, like, that you didn't have to kill cleric beasts, right? Some people didn't know that about the doll set or the abandoned workshop. Some people didn't know about Canehurst and how you can actually run Canehurst early. Going into the shadows with a +7 weapon, you know. So people that not just are like brand fucking new to the game, but people that have been playing for a while, but maybe they're just not as into it, or maybe they just don't have the time to really invest hundreds of hours to explore and figure out different routes and really play with the progression in the game and how to give themselves the biggest advantage, you know. There are people like that out there too that just honestly don't know these things, and these aren't the people I think that are going to be out running like blood level 4 or +0 weapons, or, you know, running the game with nothing but the amygdalin arm or something fucking stupid like that, you know. So this is I wanted to help those players get the most advantage that they can in the game. I think if we can say that we can make the game very, very difficult, right? Like if you do a blood level 4 +0 weapon run, okay, maybe we can call that like very hard difficulty or something like that. Or if you do like a naked fist only blood level 4 run on New Game 7, we can call that just fucking ass rape difficulty, right? Ass rape hard. This, I think, is about middle of the road. You know, it's like a medium type of difficulty. I think easy mode would be like a Duke glitch, or, you know, just running Central Yarnum for hours and hours and hours and getting to, like, you know, level 100 or something before you even fight Father Gascoigne. That would be like fucking, what's more than easy? It would be more than easy, you know. That would be the BJ Blazkowicz as a little baby difficulty, right? I love Wolfenstein. So I feel like this is about medium of the road, you know. There are still some difficult parts, and that's Braider. He invades. You can fight him right there if you want to. I just run past him. You can run into his cell, kill him, get the blood letter, run back up, and he will have dropped the testimony where he spawned as an invader. And his headpiece, his head fashion, gives you, I think, 56 beasthood, and we want to use that against Laurence. Going up against Laurence with beast runes, high beasthood, beast blood pellets, and really trying to get your beast meter up to do lots of damage is really dangerous, especially since I think we're only going to have like around 20, somewhere between 20 and 30 vitality, because it pretty much turns everything he does into a one hit, and it fucking sucks because I'm not the greatest at avoiding Laurence's attacks. So I honestly don't know how that shit's going to go, man. But we'll fucking find out. So we're back in the fishing hamlet. I'm going to go down and show you some stuff with the winter lanterns and show you what's at the bottom of that well I pointed out. So yeah, I thought it would be interesting to have those types of conversations and go off the rails a bit and talk about, games as therapy. And, these things aren't entirely fleshed out. I mean, you could write whole fucking papers and do whole fucking playthroughs discussing why Bloodborne is art. And not just art, like video game art, but, real art deserving of real critical praise. Or why games are therapeutic and deserving of those high academic levels of conversation. So you can farm these winter lanterns. They have a chance to drop, I think, 22% increase, 22% physical attack increase gems. I'm not going to farm them because it's a waste of fucking time. You get this gem. So over here, the shark fuck thing that's already down there, right over Meow. If you get him down to like 50-60% health, that one will drop down, and you got to fight both of them at the same time. You can use the Shaman Bone Blade and have them fight each other. That seems to be like the preferred method that a lot of people want to use. You can fight them yourself. But after you beat the one that drops, you will get the Rakuyo, which is Maria's weapon. And it's actually a pretty fucking good weapon. I don't use it in this run. On another build, I do have it. I do have it up to plus 10. And in PvP, it's pretty fucking dangerous. It's good in PvE too, don't get me wrong, but PvP, it's pretty good. It's up there with Blades of Mercy, I think. So hopefully anything that I've talked about or shown in this run helps to give some player out there an advantage that maybe they didn't know that they had. I wish that there could be more conversations, I think, about not just Bloodborne, but I think video games in general as art, and the cathartic impact I think that they have on players. And I think it's an important conversation to have, especially, I think we're in a time where video games are starting to sort of find their place in that discussion. I think maybe we're starting to see it. I think I want to say it's the Blackwell series, Blackwell, that does like Final Fantasy and art and shit like that. And I've never read any of those books, but or Final Fantasy and philosophy. I'm sorry. So hopefully we can see something like that with Bloodborne at some point. I think that including, I would say probably more Dark Souls. I think the lore in Bloodborne is far more fascinating for me personally than Dark Souls, but certainly after 3 games and 6 DLCs in Dark Souls, there's deeper lore there, and more of a story that could be unpacked, and more characters that could be examined for interesting arcs, and really exploring that narrative and what it brings to the discussion of art in general. I think it could be really fascinating for somebody to really start exploring that and writing about it in a very analytic and academic way. So yeah, I hope that up to this point, if anybody has watched any of this shit, which highly unlikely, it's not very likely, but on the off chance that somebody has, I hope that it's helped in some way. I mean, I can't say that the whole run has benefited somebody to where they want to mirror what I've done, and everybody wants to play the game how they want to play the game, but hopefully there's been a tip here or a trick there or some bit of conversation that has been intriguing or interesting and maybe kicked up an idea in somebody who's been watching that. That would be cool. I would like to do something like this with Silent Hill, but make it more analytic, I guess, and really expand the discussion of art and what makes a video game art, and really talk about the narrative. And I think that could be really interesting. There was a Canadian academic, Bernard Perrin, I think, who wrote the Terror Engine, which is a look at Silent Hill and terror, its impact on the player, and it unpacks the narrative a bit. It doesn't really go into the discussion of art or really draw parallels between the narrative of Silent Hill and literature. And I would say it doesn't make any implication that Silent Hill is literature. I would say that it is. I would say that Bloodborne is as well. And that it deserves all the praise that comes along with praising literature. But yeah, it would be interesting to make a video series on that. I think Noel Carroll, who wrote one of the more important works on philosophy of art, also wrote on philosophy of horror. And I haven't read it, but it would be interesting to get his perspective. So yeah, Orphan, to get back to the game for a second, Orphan is, I remember when the DLC dropped, everybody was fucking shitting their pants over Orphan. Like, this boss is fucking impossible, there's no fucking way. You know, now we see like Squilla and Faraz and Lobos and all these K-Witty, all these people that are, you know, a blood level 4 against Orphan is pretty common. No hits aren't that common, but certainly low level runs on Orphan. But man, it was, I remember the first time off I fought Orphan, and I ran the DLC my first time on New Game 3. I had my build and I didn't want to run the game again. I just wanted to do it on New Game 3. And Orphan and Laurence, it wasn't fun. I'll say that. Like, it wasn't fun trying to learn them on New Game 3. I have since found my way, more or less. I suppose some would say that I still kind of suck at the game. And maybe there's some truth to that, but suck though I might, win though I do. But yeah, Orphan was fucking rough when the DLC first dropped, and so many people had problems with him. And I remember thinking, like, how could somebody who has never played Bloodborne or the Souls games before even begin to understand how to approach fucking Orphan or Laurence or somebody? Goddamn. But if you've made it this far, you know, Orphan sort of tests everything that you've learned, I guess. I make a lot of stupid decisions in this fight, going after charged R2s when I shouldn't, and I just do a lot of reckless nonsense. But it's okay. We're not trying to go after no hits here. That was stupid of me. So. But yeah, I mean, if you have thoughts on like how all this shit went, I would be interested to know, you know, especially since I am interested in carrying on and maybe doing something on Silent Hill or Persona. I'm working on some papers right now on philosophy of art that I'm thinking about moving and turning them into a series of videos on Silent Hill 2 and maybe Silent Hill 3. So we'll see. If you smack that little shadow there, it sends Orphan back out to sea. Yeah. And I think I take the echoes and I go put a point or two in, I think it's just a point into vitality, just trying to fucking get ready for Laurence with such low vitality, which is fucking stupid. But we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. Yeah. I think this imagery is fucking just beautiful. I love it. So yeah, I think we go back to the Hunter's Dream and then just sort of start getting ready to go tackle fucking Laurence, man. So finally here, ready to go tackle Laurence. Fuck. So this build is a little bit different. The other one didn't record. Lovely. And we have a beautiful start right here. Fuck. Ugh. Anyway. So it didn't record. So I had 3 or 4 builds that I got up to Laurence. This is roughly the same build that has a few more points in vitality and a few less points in strength and skill. So sort of the same, a little different. And I still fucking hate Laurence. I still think there's too much bullshit in the fight, but I still respect it. I still think it's beautiful. I still think he's a great looking boss. So yeah. And I have like no like strategies or tips for Laurence. Man, I fucking don't. I have never really mastered this fight in any way. I mean, Bolt seems to be pretty effective. He's weak to damage, so hit him with damage until he dies, right? He has some punishable attacks when he brings both hands down to the floor of the arena. You can run up to a charged R2 and get a visceral attack in. You can sort of stay on his back and do transformation attacks, but he has really wide swipes. So you can get punished, especially if you're using beast blood pellets. It can get really fucking annoying real quick. A lot of his stuff can turn into just one hits. So yeah, it's a frustrating fight all around for me, but it is rewarding to win. And this fight is by no means clean or fucking pretty. It's pretty fucking ugly. The Orphan fight was pretty fucking ugly too. But to me, they're the 2 hardest bosses in the game. You know, I don't think Laurence is the cheapest boss. You know, like the Laurence Dark Beast is, I think, kind of cheap. Aberrant Beast can be a little cheap, I think, in the chalices, but chalices aren't mandatory. If you want to do all bosses in a run. So, of the sort of bosses in the vanilla game and the DLC, you know, Laurence is the one that I have the most problems with, we'll say. So I am sort of my own like worst critic, I guess you could say. I tend to think rather harshly, we'll say, of the work that I do. And the opinions that I have. So I don't really know how this run went. I mean, I know how it went mechanically, I guess. Like from a gameplay perspective, it was pretty average, I guess. But the commentary and some of the things that got discussed, you know, I would be curious to know what anybody thought. And the odds that anybody has watched all of these videos and up to this point is pretty fucking slim. Probably didn't fucking happen. But fuck it. On the off chance that somebody did, it would be interesting to know if some of these things would be worth, you know, carrying on. I am mostly interested, I think, not just in exploring games like this or Dark Souls or Silent Hill or something from an artistic perspective, or like from the perspective of like philosophy of art, or from through like a literary lens, you know, looking at the narrative as literature and doing like sort of an academic analysis. You know, I think that they deserve that, to be honest with you. But I'm also really interested in looking at games like this and evaluating exactly how they can be therapeutic. Now I know I have my own thoughts on like SSRIs and certain cognitive treatments and the efficacy of like psychopharmacological treatments for depression. I have my thoughts on that, and no, they're not all bad. They're not all good, but they're not all bad either. But I think that there's a place in context anyway for games as therapeutic interventions, we'll say, of sorts. And I would be interested in exploring that, I think. But I don't know if it's something that other people in the community would find appealing to work on as well. I mean, I find it interesting, but fuck, just because I find it interesting doesn't mean shit. But yeah, I mean, I think that conversation is definitely there to have about Bloodborne and Dark Souls and other games, But since we're playing Bloodborne, we'll keep it to Soulsborne, right? Except for maybe Shulva. Fuck Shulva, right? I already expressed my opinions on fucking Shulva. So that's it. Laurence gets to his third phase, and it's a bit easier once he has half his body. He has some damaging swipes, but other than that, if you just sort of stay like on his right side, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. His first two phases are the rough ones. So here we're gonna go back to the Hunter's Dream and get reborn. So like I said, I would really be fucking surprised if even one person out there watched more than one of these videos, especially up to this point, to the end. But on the off chance, like I said, that somebody did, I appreciate it. It's been fun and maybe even a bit, cathartic working on this stuff. It's been interesting having these kinds of discussions and bringing up certain things that I like to think about and I think have some sort of worth. So, yeah, I mean, I welcome all comments and ideas that anybody would have regarding any of these topics. So, if anybody's out there, thanks for watching and thanks for listening. It's been a lot of fun doing this. So hopefully see you in the next one.
Good. All signed and sealed. Now, let's begin the transfusion. Oh, don't you worry. Whatever happens, you may think it all a mere